just like your mother likes it.
A lot's happened since yesterday.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new year, a new us, a new you. This is the first. I don't know, dude. I'm trying to make it like dramatic. You always got to be questioning my drama. Just let it flow, bro. Yeah,
Good stuff,
exactly,
man.
dude.
After you, sir. What were you saying?
No, it's kind of cool, dude. I'm excited. This is the new year. This is I started to say August because apparently my year started in the summertime now. But
Well, I called you Dan earlier, so
you called me Dan. I do.
we're all we're missing tracks here and there.
YouTube poll. Do I look like a Dan?
Only
comment down
another
below.
Dan.
Yeah.
I personally think I look like a Sharon, but we'll see. It's the eyes.
Hey, Sharon is Karen.
Yeah. But I ain't a Karen. I wear my mask. I do all of that stuff. I don't lick the windows. You know, I'm cool with it. But fuck it, Ralph. Take it over. My name's Cody Walker. This is A Lot's Happened Since Yesterday. This is a new year. This is a new episode. Who you?
Who you?
Who you?
Hey, who you? Huh? What are you doing over here? Huh?
I would also like to emphasize it's New Year's. I haven't had much sleep, so this is going to be a good day.
Yeah, I don't think any of us have. I'm pretty sure Shawn worked most of the night. Knowing Shawn. Anyways, my name's Ralph.
Surprisingly, I actually did work yesterday. Yeah, but yeah.
I knew you did, dude.
Yeah, I did.
Anyway, you're watching A Lot's Happened Since Yesterday, guys. Happy New Year. 2021. Hopefully it's a hell of a lot better than last year. But we have a special guest today. He's a personal friend of mine, Shawn Sullivan. He's a record producer. He's a Grammy Award winner. And he owns his own studio called World Class Audio. Shawn, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. Doing very good.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started with the studio and, let us know. You know what I really want to know, dude? I want to know what goes through your brain when you're sitting there, because I've been to your studio and you've got all this equipment, all this musical equipment. It's a lot of stuff is like, old school. You know what I mean? You can't get it. I know you had to track some of this shit down on eBay or something. So
yeah, for sure.
What goes through your head when you're working with a band? And because I know how you are, you pick up guitar and you start noodling around with stuff and coming up with extra ideas. You're a real legit producer, and a lot of musicians, unfortunately, don't realize how important a producer is, a really good producer. So a lot of times they just go to like these studios that just really have engineers.
Yeah. Which is cool. There's guys that like literally make their living just as engineers, and they literally tell the band, hey, look, I'm not here to influence your performance. I'm here to capture what you are. And those are good dudes to have for certain bands. For the most of the people I work with, I think they're coming to get an extra pair of ears and to have somebody weigh in on some of their performances and parts. And I'll try to stay silent with something's good. I'm not going to be going, hey, that's really good, let's change it. You know what I mean? It's like if something's going really what really good, it's like, okay, cool, let's make this performance happen. Now I'm gonna try to like help them and coach them on getting the best performance I can. But if I notice something is lacking, like yesterday when I was tracking the band, and it wasn't like something huge, it's like little things like, hey, why don't we put a stop here? So instead of it just kind of buzzing through with this guitar and like and your ears get kind of like deaf to certain things after a while when you hear one rhythm over and over and over again. It can either put you into a good trance, or it could be like, okay, this is getting old, let's move on. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I've just been doing it for so long now. I'll just listen to it. I'll try to listen to it like I'm a fan of the music and what do I want to hear as a fan of this band. I don't always, I'm not saying I'm like a Rick Rubin guy, but that's like, I hear that from some people where they'll say, hey, the other guy didn't sit there and get into this bass part and figure out some different notes. One of my pet peeves is like if you have a bass player, first of all, there's just a bass player being alive is a problem because they're a bass player. Just them walking in the room is already irritating. No,
Dude, don't sugarcoat it, dude. Tell us how you really feel about that.
You heard that, Devin? No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Yeah, except for Devin, he's cool.
Yeah, Devin's
Yeah, but yeah, you know, like you know, bass player comes in, he's playing with a heavy band. The heavy band's already down tuned, and then you have the bass player playing up high all the time. And it's like, hey, bro, can we get some low notes, you know, down here a little bit? And then the band's like, yeah, we've been telling you to play lower, but you know, now I'm the guy that can actually like I'm much more diplomatic now than I used to be. I used to be just a kind of a jerk because, you know, oh, I know this should be this way. Now it's just not, I don't know. I'm just like, hey, I feel like if we could experiment with some low notes, well, let's just try it out for a second. It's always, let's just try this out. I like what you played, which is true. I'm not lying to him. It's like, I like what you're playing. I just feel like it should be fucking an octave lower. But yeah, so that's it. It's just to be like an extra dude to help the band try to achieve what I think they're going for. And it's always like, let's try this out. Oh, you guys don't like that? Okay, sell me on your idea that I don't like. like you know what I mean? And it's cool because then they gotta like sit there and just try to make it fun, and like you're just trying on a different jacket, you know what I mean? Like you're not permanently putting on anything.
So what do you do in a situation like that where like you're almost butting heads with the band that you
I don't butt heads with them. I'll be like, okay, you guys want that? I don't understand these two notes clashing with each other as being like a cool thing or a tense moment. And then I'll just put a marker there, and then I'll sure enough, 3 hours late, some you know, the singer will roll in, and then we'll roll through this one section. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? I feel like these notes clash. These guys are digging it. I don't want to start a war. And then they'll talk it out amongst themselves, and lo and behold, it gets worked out in the band. And then I'm just the guy who's just kind of pointing out a few things to them instead of being the guy who's trying to change their music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. While they're hammering all that out, you should just be in the background with the calculator, you know, like they owe you extra since they have it together then. No, I'm just kidding. I know that producers have pet peeves. What's one of your biggest pet peeves?
One of the biggest pet peeves is showing up, not knowing your parts, and then being a jerk about not knowing your parts, or being a jerk that is taking more time when you're the one that doesn't even know how to play your parts. That drives me crazy. Yeah. And it happens more often than you'd think, where people will show up and it'd be like, oh, we thought we'd get these guitars done in 4 hours. It's like, you guys showed up and couldn't even play your parts. Why did you think you could get it done? You literally couldn't play your parts. So that happens on occasion. Most people are really cool. I mean, I'm really fortunate to have like a ton of cool clients that are appreciative of me, and I'm appreciative of them. And it's like this rad, reciprocating, creative, fun thing. And I almost never dread going to work. Almost never.
Do you mostly work with the same group of people, the same group?
Yeah, I have the same group of people that come back, and then I've been kind of spooling more people into the family here. I'll record a band where they're, you know, part of or friends with 4 other bands, and then they hear the stuff that's done here, and all of a sudden my phone starts ringing and I got new people. So that's happened this year big time. So it's been a snowball.
Awesome. Well, you deserve it, brother. You do great work.
Absolutely.
Thanks. I just, you know, try to put out the best work I can and work on my people skills, so I'm at least semi tolerable in what I do, you know.
That was actually going to be one of my questions to you, was how do you go about like finding a common ground with an artist like that? Because like you said, it's a very sensitive subject between an artist and finding suggestions, and you know, where do you go about finding, even if you know they might be difficult artists or notoriously, do you have an issue with going, okay, I have to find that spot where we want to work together? Like, do you have an issue with that, or how did you go about cementing that method?
A lot of that gets worked out when you do. I always do like a meet and greet at the studio. Where I'll have the band come in and I'll meet them. We always end up jamming somehow, or they'll jam. and then we'll hang out and talk about instruments, and the drummer will show up. I'll talk about snares, and he's like, oh man, dude, you got these Gretsch bell brass snares and this phosphor drums. And we'll start talking about drums. I'll start talking to the bass player about, you know, old Ampegs and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And it just sits in and flows. There hasn't been a situation for a long time that where a band didn't come in and things haven't clicked on a bunch of levels. So like I'll usually meet with them. I'm like, hey, I want to give you a tour of the studio. I would rather have you tour the place and then decide of where you're going to go rather than just book time without, like sight unseen. Yeah. But I am getting more people doing that where they're just booking time now. But it's because then I got a rapport. I know their names. I know what they look like. I've talked to him about, I know he's got a 80s Ibanez, Jim, guitar with, I talked to him about gear, and we have like a bunch of commonalities there.
Right.
If they play rock, I guarantee you we have commonalities because that's all I do is rock stuff. The hip hop guys, that's different because I've got to kind of pick their brains more because that's not my specialty or my genre. I definitely like some of it, but that's definitely less common ground there. But I still have a few of those clients too. But that's the one I have to work on a little bit more because I have to ask a lot of questions, try to figure out what they're doing, and not as much flowy stuff right in the beginning. I mean, I have some great friends that do hip hop and they keep coming back, so apparently they like what they're doing. But yeah, the rock stuff, it's just what I told you. It's like meet with them, see if you can vibe out, let them know what your process is, try to figure out how they want to work. I'm glad you asked that, Cody, because it's a great question. The funny thing is,
a vibe to it. If you have somebody like you don't really like working with, you're not going to get good art out of it.
No, it's super true, man. It's super true. And I've only had one instance with a band a long time ago where it was literally like no go. It was just like short circuiting with one dude, and that one guy is the only guy who literally got physically ejected from my studio, and that was like.
So what did Ralph do?
He was just literally like everything we would do. He'd just be like, "Oh, it'd be better if we did this. We'd be better if they."
He wanted on every track, huh? He's like, "I need to make a noise on all the tracks, right?"
But every idea was a terrible idea unless he was coming up with it. One of those dudes. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I was like, hey, dude, does anybody want to try his idea? I think it's gonna be I don't feel like this one's gonna get traction, and everybody be like, no, that's a stupid idea. so he kept.
Well, kazoo on a Ravenscroft album, really?
No. There was no problem on the Ravenscroft stuff, at all. That was fairly smooth. We'd say that.
No, it was a fantastic experience. And we went. The crazy thing about it is. The first time we went in and recorded the 3 singles with you, and that was the first time of us working with you, Ravenscroft, we had the original guitar player with us. So then we came back to you later to do an EP, the Rebel EP, and that was with a different guitar player, Brett. So it you know what I mean? You have to get used to this new style that this guy's playing because they're not, you know what I mean?
They're very different. Yeah,
exactly. So that was really cool. And that leads me to the next question. Do you ever feel challenged when you're working with certain bands? Do you ever feel, okay, I've got to make the best record for these guys possible. This is what they brought me out to do.
And it's like, it's weird because you got to balance it with like within the confines of like, how much time and energy is it going to take to get it to this level? I have bands where they roll in, it blows my mind because I have bands that roll in. We do 4 songs and they'll put out 2 songs that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
And I'm talking kids, young kids,
wow.
And they're used to this. I know. Anyway, you got to laugh, but it's like they'll roll in, we'll do a song, and it's up by 11 o'clock at night on Instagram. It's done.
Wow.
So. For that band, I can't put in, 1 million hours, and they wouldn't have the money to do it. So definitely there's bands where I constantly try to push the envelope and get like more precision and a better product than they expected. And so, with usually I hit the mark on that, but that will always take longer, which means you got to work harder. I got to work harder, and then it's usually going to take more time, and you know what more time means, you know.
Yeah. So
more time at some point, either you're not going home to your wife, you know, to hang out, or you're going to be working for free. So, you know, or it's going to be running into more time, and they're going to have to pay more. So, I think once people hear, you know, once you give them a little heroin, you know, a little smack, you know, they can pump their arm up a little bit. Once they hear that, all of a sudden their budget that might have been unrealistically low, maybe or maybe not, but usually it is. All of a sudden they're like, hey, you know what? I got an extra whatever I can get rid of, and we can just like go full tilt on this thing, and you give them a taste of that. So I always try to answer your question, I always try to push it to the next level. And I don't look at a band who's, you know, doesn't have a huge buzz or whatever. It's like, I'm still going to be gunning to make that stuff as good as possible. I'm not going to be cutting corners just because I could, you know? Right. Yeah. Well,
speaking of cutting corners, I mean, what was it like when you were working on the album that got you a Grammy? What was that a lot of tedious work?
Yeah, that was like 14 hours a day for 6 weeks, editing. I ended up mixing a record at Electric Ladyland in between all that. So I was editing 6 weeks straight. We went to Manhattan. I did a mix a record overnight for Omar that he put out. It was an EP, and I mixed from like, I started at 9 at night and I ended at 7 in the morning and mixed the whole EP onto this 120 channel SSL console, Electric Ladyland, which is used to be Hendrix's old studio. Now it's still has the name, but it's, you know, all modern now. So, you know.
Wow.
I don't think Hendrix's sweat droplets are on the wall anymore or anything, you know. But it was still pretty rad.
What album did you win the Grammy on?
Sorry?
What album did you win?
That was Bedlam and Goliath.
Bedlam and Goliath.
Yeah, Bedlam and Goliath. Yeah, 2009, which is like 10,000 years ago now.
What was the name of the artist again? I keep forgetting.
The artist, the Mars Volta.
The Mars Volta. Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, I mean, you've worked with quite a few bands that are on labels, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the bands that you that maybe have the most recognition?
I mean, I would say, let's see. We at my studio in Anaheim that I had, we had like every screamo band ever come in. So we had Sayasin. Actually, Pat played on that.
Pat played on that. That's right. Yeah.
Sayasin, Atreyu, Lit came in, did a record. Sugar Cult, Name Taken, The Bled, Bleeding Through. I did a record with Bleeding Through, but these are not, you know, that's not a huge name, but that was like a cool thing for me. I got to engineer on one of the Bleeding Through records.
Oh, I remember those guys. Yeah.
With Ulrich Wild. Yeah.
Everybody you mentioned, I recall.
Yeah, so like I don't, you know, I haven't worked with the Eagles or anything, you know. You know, I didn't record the Beatles, you know, or anything like that. But I mean, but we had a really good run with during the emo phase. Oh, and I'm gonna weave this back to. I'm going to weave out of this awkward question of who did you work with that's famous, and get to another band that's not famous. So that band where the dude got thrown out of the studio, I like literally had to like took him and put him outside and locked the door, and then he never came back in. That same band is back in recording with me again 17 years later.
Really?
Holy shit!
With the same guy in it?
Well, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
He got replaced because they found out he was stealing money from him.
Oh,
and, like the same week they found
out. So he's like gone or
no, he's not gone. He's like not in the band anymore. But what's funny is like it was like they came back in. I'm working with them again 17 years later, which is insane.
Yeah, that's insane. That is insane.
You know,
wow.
Dating myself a little bit there, but hey, whatever, man. You know, you get older. It's what it is.
Yes.
It is what it is, right?
Better than the alternative, brother.
It's better than being dead.
It's better than being dead.
Yeah, better than being dead.
2021, man. Can you believe it, dude? I mean,
I
don't know,
mean,
man.
2020, what a terrible train wreck of a year for the vast majority of people. And yeah, man.
So how you mentioned earlier that it's been a good year for you.
It's
as
been
far
an
as
amazing
business.
year
Yeah.
business wise. Yeah.
Right.
Which is, I wasn't expecting. When this stuff kicked off, I was doing what I've done before in the bad times, which is looking around at what I'm going to have to sell,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, here we go. What's going to be the last place people go? Recording studio. Wrong. I was wrong. Very wrong. So I couldn't have predicted this. I'm glad I'm not a economic prediction guy, because I would have failed miserably on. Yeah, for me to do well, well by my standards, which is not starve to death and pay my bills. I didn't see that coming.
Well, it is.
I don't think anybody did.
It's encouraging though to see a lot of people who got shut down still were like, nah, I'm not done creating. We got to make some stuff out of this. Like, I'm kind of excited to see how much new music is going to come from this last shit show of a year.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see more lockdowns, of course.
No, I'm sure.
But the effectiveness of them is, everybody, it's arguable, I guess. Yeah.
I think everybody is feeling that way, though. Honestly, I think everybody is a little bit skeptical about certain parts of it, aspects of it, and some people are just kind of like, oh no, we got to do this. We got to keep away from older people and people that
Sure.
Their health is at risk or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think there's a balance. Maybe I don't know if we're ever going to find it. We don't really seem to be good at doing that, especially the world in general. We should say it's not just the United States.
It's like one side can cheer authoritarianism and say, yeah, cool, lock everybody down and force a vaccine on everybody. But it's like, that has its own set of problems, which is called tyranny. That's a problem. Tyranny is kind of a bummer. And it's like most people I know who are pro tyranny, they've never lived in tyranny. The people I know who have lived in it, like I have some older Cuban friends that were there under Castro and absolutely hated it. And, they practically would have swam over here if they could have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting and touchy subject, but I'm totally not qualified to talk about, but
So speaking of which,
I
I'm also, what are your
guys
thoughts?
are all virologists, right?
I went to school for biology for a little while. That makes me qualified, right?
Yeah. I got through the first intro class in college, right? So I mean,
I got a
cool.
solid C minus.
You're probably more qualified than the people that are making the laws telling us what to do. So there's
there. You go.
That's probably true. Yeah. At what point in time in your life did you decide this is what you were going to do? This is the path you were going to go down? Because I know you started out as a musician, right?
Yeah.
You still are a musician, but what I'm saying is you didn't go down the road of becoming a professional musician. Although you could have, but
I don't think I was like a good enough guitar player to like ever be a session guy. Like, although I've done sessions or whatever, but I think it was kind of like the bug of recording kind of got me early on. I was recording when I was like 9 with a cassette deck, and I did a paper route with a buddy, and he and I put in $500 to buy a 4-track Fostex X15 cassette, which was like $500 was like $1 million to me. And like we worked our ass off, like, delivering papers and go, pulling weeds and shit for like all summer. And, we came up with the $500 and was like this unimaginable number. And we wore that thing down, dude. We ran that cassette where the actual metal part of the head like wears down because there's so much tape rolling across it, and we're cleaning it and did like, I don't know, we have like 80 4-track cassette tapes full of like songs that we're doing back in that era, which actually we have on hard drive now. We keep threatening to remix it, which is hilarious, remixing that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think even then I loved the process. It was like super frustrating to me because I'd be trying to play guitar and I'd try to move the mic around, and it always sounded like crap because I was using some insanely bad equipment. So I think that was kind of like catching the bug. But you know, I don't know, as far as actually like making a commitment to record specifically and do nothing else, that came later for me. I had recorded bands and been in bands, and then I would hit about 27. By the time I hit 27, I was like, okay, fuck this. This is all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else but recording. I don't care if I got to sleep on floors, which I did. I don't care if I got to do whatever I got to do. If I got to date Kelly Osbourne, I don't care. I'll do whatever I got to do, man. I'll take one for the team, you know?
Random.
So,
I feel like there should be
kidding,
more.
Kelly.
He just said one for the team, basically. Like what? I hope Ozzy doesn't hear this. Anyway,
I bring that up because there's a rumor about her in some band I know, but I won't go into that.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, but you know, take one for the team.
Okay.
Her, you know,
oh,
you can put some things together with that.
Yeah, we won't dive into that though.
You won't dive in. I mean,
But
somebody
hey,
already dived in
but
there.
no, in all seriousness though, what did you hear about Kelly Osbourne and the band that you were dealing with?
That was pretty smooth.
Yeah, I
You
tried.
dived in, so
I
I think that's what happened. One of them dived in into her, and you know, there you go. So,
Oh,
some kind of a record deal or some kind of a connection might have been involved. I don't
There
know.
term
was
is
money involved.
Listen, even if it's hearsay, it's entertaining hearsay. So
Yes.
it's even if it's not true, it's interesting. But anyway, so yeah, I had once I hit 27, I had some, you know, odd jobs, and I was still doing recording, kind of like toe in the water, you know. But then, you know, then I'm like, forget it. This is all I'm doing. I'm not doing regular jobs anymore. I'm just gonna record. I don't care like what I got to do. And so, I had a place I was leasing with 3 other guys. One guy would use it to store his hockey equipment. The other guy used it to rehearse drums like twice a week, you know. And then I was in there like 24 hours a day when they weren't in there recording bands, whatever bands I could get a hold of to record. And it just like popped off. Like after about being there for like a year, I started kind of like doing well. And I had 1 month where I had done like about 10 grand worth of business out of there. And one of the guys was like, hey man, you know, you're part of the rent's due, you know. I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's $133. So that was my third of the rent. It was $133. So that was,
you had made like 10 grand that month?
I made 10 grand that month. And I was like, I'd never made money like that because I was always like working shitty jobs and barely putting gas in my car, and, you know, rebuild my carburetor myself out in the yard, you know, and just keep my car going. All of a sudden it's like I actually made a little bit of money, and then it was just like my overhead was like nothing, you know.
Holy crap. So was that early grind just busting balls trying to find bands willing to work with you and going to shows and introducing yourself and stuff like that? Like,
you know, I never did that. I never ran out there and was like, hey man, here's my card, you know.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, I was
check out my studio. I was never that guy.
Right.
So it was all kind of word of mouth. I ended up recording a guy that was like a manager at Guitar Center, and he was like a really good drummer. And then like the word kind of got out to like in the stream there because he knows a lot of people and he was great at talking, and I wasn't great at talking, you know, and I'm still not great at talking, but I mean, he's really good at you know, like talking to bands and be like, check out my shit, you know, recorded over with my bud. So I just kind of got into a little stream of people that were interested in doing it, and that was it. It went off from there, and I did that for a couple of years there. Things were going actually pretty well, and then I got into an actual facility, and you know, one of the mistakes, but this is a mistake that most people do in their lives, which is you take on partners. It's like it's hard to get anything done without partners. Yeah, I know. Where is she?
Is that the wrong way?
Yeah, it was the wrong way. You're getting an arrow, bro.
Oh.
There you go.
Editing. That's what it's for. You know this.
Dude, it's post-production, dude. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you take on partners, right? and because it's like, okay, well, I've got equipment and I've got some clients,
Right.
but what I don't have is, $200,000 to build this place out.
Right.
But these guys have that, but they don't have clients and they don't have, whatever. So it's like, I took these guys on and we started kind of doing a thing. But at the end of the day, it's like I was working the same amount of hours. Yeah, I had a nice facility, but then you're trying to split it 3 ways when you're taking money from musicians, which is like, get blood out of turnips, which I'm good at doing. I can get blood out of turnips, no problem. But I just can't get like, mega gallons of blood out of turnips. So that got hard to be a tenable situation. Fortunately for me, one of them was kind of like a trust fund kid, and he pretty much like lost interest and was just never around. So he kind of just wasn't around. And then it was like, well, hey, look, dude, you're not really around. So, and he's not hurting for money at all. And so, and then the other partner of mine decided that it would be a good idea to, snort cocaine and go off the rails for a while. So after a while, like one of them said, hey, look, I'll let you buy me out. Just let me do this record over here. And then we'll call it even, which is like basically him just handing me money at that point. Mm-hmm. So that happened. And then the other guy kind of just floated off and decided to start partying full time. And I wasn't partying. I was recording bands and doing what I do. And then I had like the best 3 years I've ever had business wise in my life. This was absolutely insane during the whole emo craze. And anyways, so that was it. But it was like all of a sudden, like it was buying gear and going crazy. So, but I didn't have any terrible habits to suck up too much of the money. So.
Well, that's good.
Besides gear, which is like a
dude, that's our Jonah, dude. That's like our drugs.
Yeah, gear porn is the thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, especially Shawn, because he's shown me some of the stuff that he's gotten, and he's like, yeah, man, and you even talked about that. Me and you had a conversation about that one time where you were like, yeah, man, I pour a lot of this back in, you know what I mean?
That's
back in.
Yeah, it's I bought a $4,000 microphone last week. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, wow.
Good
as
God,
ridiculous as that sounds,
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, because you use them way more than I do. Are they that noticeably different?
It is. I'll have to come over and check it out sometime. Yeah.
Because I mean, I hear the crazy things, and my first brain is like, what can a $4,000 microphone do that, I'm not saying $100 microphone, obviously, but I mean, 4,000 for one? Fuck.
Yeah, for one mic. And everyone who gets on it knows, like instantly.
Really?
Every singer that gets on it, they all do the same thing. They'll get on it and they'll just open their mouth and be like, and they'll hear the sound of the
noise.
bubble and the tiny, just the mouth sounds, and they'll sit there for like a minute just doing that because they never heard anything pick up that before. Like, you know what I mean? Like they've been on some good mics, but they haven't been on a mic like this.
Crazy.
And I did not want to put $4,000 into a microphone.
Oh yeah.
But I borrowed it from a buddy of mine, actually Bo from Sayson. And I borrowed it from him, checked it out, and I've got some great stuff. This is better. It's just better. So all of a sudden, I've got that over here, and I've got people that had recorded stuff at home on their $1,200 mics that are really, really good,
right.
Really good. And they heard this, and now they're booking time re-recording their vocals over here because of that mic, just like that.
Wow, it's crazy.
So it's that much better. Now, somebody that's not really listening for super detail, they probably would be like, "Hey, fuck it, it's good enough."
Right.
What we got to good. I've heard some $1,200 mics that sound close, but they definitely don't sound the same. Yeah.
Interesting.
Some people are willing to pay for that. Some people are like, bro, we did this vocal on a SM57. It sounds great.
I'm using an SM57 right now. I love the mics, but I've always.
Hey, it works good. It works good.
Oh, well, yeah, 100%. But I mean,
it
don't pick up that. It don't pick up like you're talking, obviously.
No, it's not. When you can get a singer that's like that pumped on hearing their voice, look at Ralph. Ralph's actually, he's kind of glamoring the camera a little bit right now because he's thinking about this microphone.
No, I am thinking about it actually. I'd like to try it, man.
Dude, it'll blow your mind.
Really?
It will blow your mind. Yeah, you gotta come over. It is that. It sits in the track like, here comes some really douchey LA producer sounding guy adjectives. It sits in the track like it's got a halo around your vocal, like you're sitting there, all the detail is there, it doesn't clobber all the other instruments, and it just sounds right. It just sounds right. You know, and the thing's all handmade, and it's insane. It's insane. Anyways.
So is this what some of the producers that charge like a phenomenal amount of money for the big national acts? Is that the kind of stuff they use? Okay.
Yeah. My friend calls it the ultimate big dick mic. So that's what he calls it. He goes, bro. He's like, yeah, man, take it, borrow it. He goes, you see, ultimate big dick mic. Do people walk in, that thing's just swinging there? It's just like, ka-jaw, you know? And it's like he's right. It just is. It's just like, yeah, bam, there it is.
And that's when you said,
oh yeah, your mother likes it. I'm not good with social cues.
All right, take two.
Wait,
and then you said, okay, ready?
Just like your mother likes it, Trebek. I'm terrible with social cues, man. I might be touched a little bit.
Dude, if it makes you feel better, I had no idea what Ralph was referring to either. I'm like, uh-oh. I don't know which one.
I was like, and then you said, and I had
I was so busy thinking about the microphone and everything
like
else.
this energy going through my mind.
Yeah, like a Frankenstein with the lightning going off. You're like, what is it?
He's gonna catch this cue. I know he is. I'm getting better at these segues, bro.
A little slow
have to pay attention. Anyway, okay. So, I mean, do you prefer working with independent bands, or do you prefer working with bands that are on a label?
Well, I mean, that's all I work with now, and I that question is it's a good question. It used to be on occasion I would get a label band, you know, but that was like a long time ago. So I mean, everything I've been doing is independent, which for me has been a blessing and a curse, but mostly blessing, because it's like when the bottom falls out, these big corporations and they're not paying for a year, which I had to happen with Universal. They owed me money for over a year, you know, and they just kept making me resubmit my invoice over and over and over and over and over again, just like as a stalling tactic. And eventually I gave up, and they paid me, because they had to clear their books or whatever. So they finally paid me, but I couldn't even believe they paid. But so anyway, so I've been doing independent. So in 2008, actually 2005, 2008, kind of as record labels were consolidating, the business was changing. A lot of the big time dudes that were just, you know, dealt with labels, some of those guys just kind of like died on the vine, because they didn't have any independent people that were kind of like weren't tied to the funding from some of these labels, you know. So for me, it's all independent. I haven't dealt with a label in a long time.
What are your thoughts about the music industry?
It's terrible. You should never get in it. No.
No, I mean, do you because you've been doing this for a while, so you remember when things were kind of like on fire? So
yeah, I mean, I caught just the tail end of the On Fire, which was phenomenal. You know, with like Zama Jive Records, where I would send these huge invoices to them, and they'd just be like, ha, 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 this is nothing. Write checks. They would wipe their butts with the check and send it to me. I mean, like it was just insane, you know. So I mean, I only caught the very tail end of that. There's guys that had their whole career, starting in the 80s all the way up, where they just, you know, they were driving around Ferraris to the session and stuff. I mean, I never got there, but so as far as my ideas, I just keep my head down and stay inside the production vein and engineering side of it, and do the best job I can. And I've never tried to be some industry guru guy who knows where the trends are going. I don't freaking know. I do know one thing, which is only one step away hearsay, which is my friend Javier has an attorney, and this attorney and this focus groups have been doing research, and they say 90s rock is like hugely coming back, and they're throwing all their money into it. And you're seeing like that R. Kelly record, or sorry, Machine Gun Kelly, not R. Kelly.
Like,
I don't want to bring up the rapey vibe. Yeah. I'm locked in the closet.
My mind's telling me no.
Yeah. Well, you kept this bitch too. Yeah, like, no, not that guy, not our Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly. So you know how he came out of nowhere with the punk pop record that's huge now? That wasn't out of nowhere. These attorneys do this damnable thing called focus groups, or they're involved in it, and they did focus groups, and they said, hey, this stuff's gonna hit again. And so they get Travis Barker and da-da-da-da-da, and they crank out this record, which was just written by writers, and it's huge. So that 90s rock thing gives me hope, Ralph, because I'm like super 90s rock fan. That's like everything I do, I try to make sound like 90s rock anyway. So for me, that's only a good thing. So I'm actually pretty excited about that part.
Do you think it's really going down that road? I mean, I don't. Do you listen to? I was just going to ask if you listen to like Sirius XM or some of the newer stuff like on Octane. They play a lot of the newer hard rock and metal, and I was just wondering if you're familiar with that stuff. And
I'm really not. Like I'm just now getting into like some gent stuff. Getting into kind of more modern metal. Some of the stuff gets a little too math rocky for me, personally. But like this year, I've been so busy that when I get done recording and tracking, I just want to hear silence, or I want to hear the motor on my Jeep going down the road. I don't want to, I can't listen to more music at the end of an 8-hour day of listening to music. It's just, I can't do it. So this year, like the busier I get, the less outside music I listen to. And this year has been really, really busy where I still will go on YouTube and check out bands. I'll listen to what other bands tell me to listen to. Like, hey, what kind of bands are you into? Oh, I'm into this band, and I'll like write it down in my notes, and then I'll just go up and take a listen to it like at night sometimes, briefly. But like a lot of times, I just can't stand it because I can't listen to anything else. It's been all day.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of that with bands asking you to make them sound a specific way? Like
that still happens, and I try to ignore them as much as possible.
You're pretty good at doing it too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, we want to sound like this. It's like art. It's like, well, are you bringing all the elements of that band to your table? And no,
it's true.
You're not. Hopefully you're bringing your own things, but we all have influence. We're all influenced by people and have, hold people up on pedestals and stuff. So I get it. I will listen to that stuff. I don't sit there and like obsess over it. I'll listen to it and be like, that's cool. You want this palace, and I show up at the job site and there's just like this ball of mud. There's like this giant thing of mud and like a swamp. It's like, let's just work on getting the swamp drained and getting a foundation.
No, it's got to be the Bellagio. I want the fountains.
Yeah, you want the Bellagio, but then you show me your Florida property with gators and swamps and gators, and it's like, that's cool, but if you're gonna get a swamp and gator record, it's gonna be there's still gonna be some swamps and some gators, around the McMansion that we're gonna make for you.
McMansion.
The Bellagio McMansion.
Did you have did you or do you still like? Well, you don't right now because you say you don't listen to a lot of music. But did you have a chunk where you listened to a bunch of different brands to just kind of get ideas on production direction during the time?
For sure, yeah, for sure. I was listening to the both Lord Alge brothers, like Chris Lord Alge, Tom Lord Alge. So I was listening to a lot of the stuff that they were mixing back then. Now you've got the new metal style that you got guys like Periphery and that kind of stuff where they kind of like set a whole new direction for that kind of production style. I've definitely checked it out. I've definitely kind of like checked out some of the stuff Nolly's working on, and it's really cool and it's really different. But I still have my own kind of preferences and that kind of stuff. But I'm doing a lot of crossover metal, rock and metal mixed together, and then getting into more of these little genty bands that are kind of a little bit more that kind of stuff involved. So I'm leaning in that direction a little bit more now, I would say.
Right on.
But yeah.
So what do you think about bands that sound very similar to bands from the past? Is that something that you would suggest a band do if you heard a band come in and they showed you their song and let's say Greta Van Fleet, okay?
Yeah.
And I've already brought up this example in the past. And like I said, the band is a great band. I'm not saying anything bad about them at all.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
But it's a Led Zeppelin ripoff.
Exactly.
I'm sure they prefer homage, but yeah.
it's the best Led Zeppelin ripoff band that you could probably dream about. You know what I mean? Like it's like almost a young Robert Plant, you know, but not really, you know, singing, you know.
Well, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think that that's something that, you know,
it's happening? You know what I mean?
I mean, I know people love covers, you know, people always have loved covers, but this is different. This is not a cover. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not doing your version of this older song, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm just like,
but it sounds exactly like this other band.
Just like you, I'm probably a little bit conflicted about it because like part of me is like, you know, hooray to them for making a living and doing well and having a crowd that's getting entertained by them.
Yeah. There's no denying they're good.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing. It's like it's you know, it's your job as an entertainer to entertain people, and they're doing that. That's cool. It's not my cup of tea. I haven't bought anything from them. I heard one of their songs on the radio. I'm like, oh fuck, this sounds like new Led Zeppelin. And I turn it up. I'm like, no, the singer's a little different. And it was like, it just sounded like
what I thought
Led
too.
Zeppelin, so.
I'm like, how did I miss this Led Zeppelin song?
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like, what?
It's like, is there like a son of Robert Plant singing on this or something? Or
pretty crazy though. But
you know that band Rival Sons? You ever heard of them?
Rival Sons.
Sons.
I've heard of them. Yes.
Yeah, Jay Buchanan. Mm-hmm. Like I worked on his EPs back in the day.
Oh, really?
And he was kind of like a, you know, tortured folk rock artist, you know, at the time. And we did like a more rocking tune, and I had him scream because he'd never like done like where he got into a scream. He'd never done that before, but he could totally do it like with no problem. I go, dude, why don't you just swoop up and scream on this? And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, just be like, and he'd never done that before. I go, dude, you should be doing this. Well, you know, 8, 9, 10 years later, he's in that band Rival Sons, which they were #1 in the UK or #2 or something like that. And they're basically like a Led Zeppelin-ish band.
Yeah.
And he just sits there and does like Led Zeppelin-y kind of stuff now, and is doing that screaming stuff all the time now. So,
how cool is that?
And he's killing it.
Nobody knows this story, but it was actually Shawn that told David Draymond from Disturbed, hey, why don't we start this song out with you yelling like a monkey? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I think, wasn't it like he was in the background
no,
just clearing his throat, and you're like, wait a minute, you know, he's like, hang on, just wow.
That was a joke, guys.
And you're like, no, that was it right there.
That was a joke.
Yeah, I know, did not happen.
Shawn's all, no, don't follow what your bass player's doing. Play that an octave lower, or sing that an octave lower. It's not, it's wow. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, dude.
But
it was interesting. You know, it's like was it the infinite monkey theory? You know, like you you put enough of them in a room. Well, I was right once about one thing, which is that with him is I was that monkey that typed the last letter that made the word. that finally made sense. You know, but yeah, it was nice. It was nice seeing at least that happening once. You know.
What's your favorite part about your job?
My favorite part is not hating it.
That's always a good thing.
I love not hating going to work. So that's my favorite part of the job. I live 500 feet that way, you know, so my commute is walking from the house to the building out here. So that staying off the road and not spending a bunch of hours in traffic. Because I've worked in LA before. I've driven to LA where I was on the road 4 or 5 hours a day to go to work and back. Yeah, and that was like tough, living in hell. Yeah. Because you know how it goes. You get home and you have enough energy to crack a beer open and drink it and sit down and watch TV, and then you're just time to go to bed.
Yep.
And do it all over again.
Yep.
Exactly. So that was like the worst experience, ever. So to get it set up where I have the property to live. It's not like a mansion or anything, but it's a place, and live there and be able to walk back to the building and be working and like when I have clients showing up, you know, as long as I get in here about 10 minutes before the session, I'm cool, you know? So if
Yeah,
I
'cause
have
you just gotta
session
boot
at noon,
everything
I'll
up,
get
right?
11. What's that?
I said you just got to walk into your room, boot everything up, and wait for them to show
Yeah,
up,
just
right?
walk in, turn the computer on,
Yeah.
make sure there's nothing weird going on. That's it. And so I'm ready to go. So the convenience of not being a slave to the road and all that is really, really nice. And I work with some really cool people, man. I mean, everybody, like, people like, oh man, you see a lot of drugs happening, you know, doing music. It's like, no, I probably see less drugs here than you would see in a corporate setting, where they're all getting coked out, you know. So
Trippy. What's your policy on that kind of thing? Do you allow that kind of thing?
Yeah, people smoke weed, doesn't bother me. If it becomes like a ridiculous skunky cloud in here, I'll be like, yeah, go outside. But if it's kind of chill, I'm good with it, you know. If it smells like a, you know,
Right on.
a skunk who's dying, then I don't. a pile of
Yeah, well, you have
tires.
a lot of expensive equipment in there as well. So
Yeah. So if it, like there's one rap session where I'm like, nah, you guys gotta go outside. It's getting too crazy. Smoking giant blunts and shit.
I think I remember you telling me about that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is too much, you guys. You gotta get outside. But things get dusty. But that's about it. All I ever really see is like, you know, a little bit of weed, maybe some guys drinking some alcohol, but nothing crazy. People are here to get work done. They're paying, you know, by the hour. They're not, you know, to my knowledge, they're not here to do drugs. No.
What's your favorite beer?
I mean, I
know you're a beer connoisseur. Let's talk about that first of all, because
I would say
we went to a place not far from where you live. You took me there.
I like that Belching Beaver peanut butter chocolate ale or whatever. Yeah, that Belching Beaver is really good. That's the name of it, man. That's the name of the beer. Yeah.
Butter chocolate.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, there's so many great beers now. It's like I can't even begin to name them all. But
you ever drink Stone?
Yeah, I've never been a Stone fan.
No, not really. Too bitter.
Sacrilegious to say, but
sacrilegious.
But never been into Stone. Certain IPAs but I hate most of them. You know,
really?
Most of it to me is like lazy beer making. Check out this, like, you know, sour rag IPA, you know, triple, you know. And it's just like, to me, it's a lot of it's lazy beer making, but some of the IPAs are magic. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I've had some saisons that are great.
So you like ales better then?
Yeah, I like ales better, but I do like some, you know, like some Fantôme, that's a saison, you know, which is really literally just means season in French, you know. So like the farmers would just open up their beer thing and let whatever's blowing from the field blow in to activate the yeast or to start the yeast. So some of those are amazing, but it's like, it's different because every year you have different shit blowing around. But this year I've been super chill with my drinking because I've been so busy. So bands will be like, hey man, you want a beer? It's like, it's going to make me tired and make me not be able to hear detail. And I'm going to disappoint them who are, you know, they're welcome to drink a couple because they don't need to be as on point. So I'll just be, nowadays I'm so boring now. Like it's just like I can't do it. I'll get too tired or I'll get, you know, whatever. Anything's going to take the edge off. I don't want to do it. When we get done, I'll, you know, then I'll, if they want to hang for a little bit, I'll drink a little bit. Right. But whiskey's my jam, actually.
Hell yeah.
Whiskey's your thing. Okay.
Yeah, and bourbon.
Yeah. Bourbon.
Likes the hard stuff.
Oh, I'm a Maker's Mark dude, man. I
some jet fuel.
Love me some Makers.
Yeah, whiskey's pretty good. I can't drink it anymore, man.
I like Eagle Rare. Yeah, it's hard on the stomach. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's too hard on the stomach. But I was gonna ask you. I know you're not gonna go into details about this, but
wow.
Is there a secret? Do you have a secret? All these years that you've been doing what you do, is there a secret? Is there a secret to making a record sound huge?
That's an interesting question.
I mean, outside of the microphone we just talked about, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And I've seen your places.
Yeah.
You've got all kinds of stuff. You introduced my guitar player to an amp. What's it called? The Landry? Is that what it's
Landry,
called? Yeah. And he loved it. You know what I mean? So
you mean like a personal technique or
he got really good tone out of that. And
you know,
Shawn's
I
good
would
at getting
say,
tone.
I mean, there's not one thing, you know, it's a combination of things. There's definitely like, not necessarily secret, but that like, I was like, long time ago, I recorded a Real Big Fish record, right? And we rented a 1970s, or I think it was a 60s checkerboard Marshall that just sounded like God. I mean, the thing was God clear. It was so ridiculously good. And so instead of going and getting a 60s checkerboard, I was like, kept buying like reissue shit, you know, oh, let me get this reissue Marshall. No, let me get this. I got these Mesa Boogies. I got a couple of them.
Yeah.
Mesa Boogie cabinets. They're good, but they don't sound like that. So finally, I should have learned way, way, way earlier that I just went and got a 70s Marshall checkerboard cabinet with the original G12 Rolas in it, and it blows away literally everything that comes in. So I get people to bring in orange cabinets and other Mesa Boogies, whatever. I go through the same process with them, because if you tell somebody their baby is ugly, they're not gonna love you, right? You're like, hey, check out my baby. You're like, that's the fucking ugliest baby I've ever seen. Like, that's not.
They're not gonna like you very much.
Like you're not gonna make friends. Like they're gonna hate you. So I don't do that. I go, sure.
Well, you don't do that anymore.
Right? Yeah, it took me a long time. I'm a slow freaking learner, man.
Only took him 5 babies.
I'm a caveman chiseling in ones and zeros from like the Boolean school of math. You know. So yeah, it took me a long ass time to learn. Yeah, I kind of stomped all over. Yeah, you're but I love Brett.
It was fun though. I'm not gonna lie, especially because it wasn't me you were tearing apart at the moment.
Brett brought in an abomination. He brought in a Black Star amp.
You know he's gonna watch this later.
Yeah, I know he's gonna watch.
Wait. I hang on. Let's put a pause on this, because I do have a little bit of a
Are you gonna glamour me?
No, I'm just saying.
Serious,
I'm just saying,
dude?
like,
is that a Black Star?
that may or may.
Are you serious? Oh my god.
Now I will say that's a practice amp. But I write all my
There you
shit on that
go.
amp.
Trying to record with it.
Oh, they're good for. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, dude, I'm not a guitar player, so
I'm gonna
No,
go
I
out
got-
on a limb and say we ain't getting sponsored by Black Star anytime soon.
Yeah, no.
No, but Brett does take that kind of personal when you know, because he likes that product.
Yeah.
He does,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so that's just. So how do you deal with that when you've got, you know, because I know
That's
you
an
deal
awesome
with it a lot.
question. So what I do is I've literally done this several times this month. I had a band that goes, hey, we got this orange cabinet. We love it. We want to bring it in. I'm like, cool. That's how I deal with
You
it.
get it, embrace and pivot. Is that what you're saying? You just bring it
I go,
in.
cool. Bring it on in.
They
Bring
come
it
back
on
a
in.
week later to listen to what they tracked, and he's all
And
okay.
then-
So by the way, before we start this, I switched everything out and
No, I
blacked the
know.
whole record.
No, I don't even hide it. I'm like, yeah, bro, bring all your stuff in. I can't wait to hear it. And then I'll set it up next to my Marshall checkerboard, you know, original G, you know, not the reissue shit, because it does not sound the same. And then I'll go, let's take a listen to these two cabinets. And then I'll go da-da-da-da-da on theirs, and then da-da-da-da-da on mine. And they go, now which one do you think? Everyone's like going, that one.
But that's the way to do
Everyone.
it, man. Like you said, you
I
don't
let
go, hey,
them do
here's
it.
the shit. You go, let's just
Yeah.
pick. You know, we have options
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
That's it. So that way I'm not just interjecting myself, which, I mean, they're hiring me to kind of do that. But it's like, still, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that's how I deal with it now.
Okay, situational question. You put
Yeah.
that orange or that Black Star next to yours, and they look at you and go, nah, I think I want the muddy Black Star. Do you go, sure?
Yeah.
Or do you go, you didn't understand how this works?
That's the beauty of I always track with a DI for the guitar, you know, direct inject. So I have a ridiculously high quality DI, and that's what I do. So no matter what happens at the end, I can reamp it through whatever I want at the end.